Hello, welcome to Advanced Financial Management paper. Before we start, I would just like to make an apology in advance. This paper used to be called paper P4. Since the ACCA renamed all the papers, or they changed the name convention, it's now called AFM, Advanced Financial Management. But if I do occasionally say P4, that's actually what I mean, because the paper used to be called P4. Okay, so what can we say about this paper? Well, let's start off by going to the contents page and just having a look at what's included in here. So perhaps the first thing I should say is that this paper builds on what you will already have learned from the earlier financial management paper, which again was formerly called paper F9. It might have been called F9 when you did it. So this paper builds on the skills you learnt in F9 and takes it to a much more advanced level. Okay, so let's just have a brief look at what's included in here. In chapter 1, it starts off talking about the role and responsibility of the financial manager. So what does the financial manager do? Usually a financial manager is the finance director of a company. That's the usual title they're given. And obviously many of their roles, they include things like raising finance for the company, but they also include planning, financial planning, managing the cost of capital, and also included in chapter 1, we've also got some reporting to stakeholders. So a big part of section 1 includes integrated reporting, for example. Then we come to chapter 2, investment appraisal. Now, most of this will actually be revision of what you've already covered in the earlier FM or F9 paper. So discounted cash flow techniques, net present value, and so on. There are one or two new areas in there as well. There's something called the modified internal rate of return, for example, and something called duration, where we look at how long it takes for a project's present value to return the initial investment, and so on. Then in chapter 3 we continue really with investment appraisal, but this time we're adding a complication, which is international investment appraisal. Now obviously if we're doing international investment appraisal, then the big thing we're going to have to think about is the exchange rate. So we'll also look at exchange rate parity theory in here, and in addition to that we'll look at ways of managing international trade, such as in some countries there might be dividend restrictions on paying dividends abroad back to the home country. So we'll look at strategies to deal with those types of things. Chapter 4, the financing decision. Well, that really deals with the cost of capital, and we'll look at theories about how the cost of capital varies as gearing increases. We're going to look at, in particular, a theory called Modigliani and Miller. In addition, we're going to look at different sources of financing. So again, some of these were covered in paper FM, but we will be building on that knowledge there. Chapter 5, the dividend decision. So companies got to the end of the year, they've hopefully made some profits. How much of those profits do they pay out as dividend, and how much do they retain to be reinvested in the company? So we're doing well here. Then, chapter 6, we come on to the weighted average cost of capital. Now, we have already talked about Modigliani and Miller in session 4 in the finance decision. We're going to look at some other theories about the cost of capital in this session. So, the capital asset pricing model, for example. In chapter 7, we're going to look at more complex NPV type things, so investment appraisal. For example, if we're going to acquire another company and that's going to change our business, the type of business we're in, so our business risk may change, and also we may have to raise finance to invest, so that might change our financing mix too. So overall, doing the NPV is going to be more complicated than our good old F9 or FM calculations, because the costs of capital may need to change. So that sort of concludes the cost of capital bit of the syllabus. Then we come on to start looking at treasury options and risk management. And we start by option pricing, because one thing we're going to look at in the following chapters is methods of hedging against exchange and interest rate risk. And one way we can do that is by using options. So in this chapter, we just look at how options might be priced at least. There's a theory called the Black-Scholes option pricing model. So we're going to look at that model and try to understand the variables that cause the value of an option to change. Then we come on to risk management. Introduction to risk management. So if you've already done the paper which used to be called P1, or you might be doing the ACCA SBL paper, then you'll already be familiar with most of what's in here, risk management. But then in chapter 10 we come on to hedging foreign exchange risk. Now here we look at various instruments, particularly financial instruments like options and futures. Now again, those were covered broadly in the FM paper, but at the Advanced Financial Management paper, AFM, we're going to be looking at calculations involving these financial instruments. So actually doing some calculations about how much we make or lose on our options and futures hedges and so on. So it gets fun. Similarly, chapter 11, interest rate risk. Well, that's in a way pretty similar. Obviously we're hedging something else. Let's say we've borrowed money at a certain variable interest rate. Obviously we're concerned that if interest rates go up, we end up paying more. Well, there are various money market techniques. Options is one of them actually, but there's various instruments available on the money markets to help us hedge those interest rates as well. Similar in a way, to foreign exchange options and instruments. So we'll look at those. Chapter 12, acquisitions and mergers. So we'll look at the theory behind why acquiring another organisation, another company might be a good strategic move, why it might not be a good strategic move. Related to that, in chapter 13, we're going to look at business valuations. So how can we value a company? So again, it might be because we're thinking of buying a company, it might be because we're thinking of selling a company. We want to place a value on that. So how can we do that? Then the last theoretical session is chapter 14, which deals with corporate failure and reconstruction. Corporate failure, obviously not a happy place to be. It's where the organisation has got into financial difficulty and it's in danger of going bankrupt. So what can we do about it? So that's really a sort of overview of what you're going to have to study. Now, I should say at the outset, there is a lot of material to study. So my advice to you is give yourself plenty of time for this paper. It might be that in the past you might have been easily able to get through your other earlier ACCA papers in 3 months or 6 months. But this paper, I would suggest spend at least 6 months preparing for, because there is a lot of quite difficult technical material to get through. It's not an easy paper. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is the approach to studying with our ExP package, okay? So, what you have, first of all, is you've got the learning phase. In fact, this is the start of the learning phase, and there will be some lectures covering the technical material. On average, there'll be 1 lecture per chapter from the study text. And these lectures will be based on the chapters and study text. But what I'm going to aim to do in the lectures is to highlight or to give you an overview of the key areas in each chapter and to cover in a bit more detail some of the difficult areas. But you will still need to go back and study those chapters in your own time. So it's not enough just to listen to me talking in these lectures. You will have to go and read the chapters, but hopefully, having listened to my lectures, you'll find you don't have to spend so much time in the chapter. You'll know most of it, hopefully, and it will just give you a bit more detailed knowledge, which might come in useful in the exam. Okay? Now, at the end of each chapter, of each lecture, there are some quick quizzes. Okay? At the end of each one, there's a quiz, which consists of 5 multiple choice questions, just to try to reinforce what you've learnt in that particular lecture. Okay, after the learning phase, which will probably take you, I would imagine, well, depending on whether you're working full-time or not, but if you're, let's say you're studying part-time in addition to a job, then probably you're going to be spending, say, 2 or 3 hours on a chapter. There's 15 chapters to get through. So, you might get through 2 chapters a week. So, you're talking about 2 or 3 months to get through the learning phase. At the end of that, there's an energizer. This is really just a sort of motivational lecture, just to say, okay, well done, you finished the technical material. We're about to start the next section, which is the past exams, so the question practice. And here, there are some more lectures, but this time the lectures won't be covering technical material, they'll be covering past questions. Okay, so what I may do is set a bit of a question for you to do. I might even set a whole question in some cases, and then I'll ask you to pause the recording, go away, work at the question, then come back and I will go through, sort of debrief, how I would have answered the question and talk about the difficult parts of that question. Okay, once you've done all that, then we do recommend that you do what we call exam simulation. That is a mock exam. And then after that, there'll be a final debrief. You've got a few days left till the exam, and we've got this final debrief just to give you a bit of last minute encouragement and advice about getting through the exam. Right, well that is it for this lecture. So the next lecture we're going to start with chapter 1 of the study text and get into the technical material. Okay, that's it for now.